So let me take the opportunity to invite those that are still standing to find a seat. And as you do, if you could not use your indoor voice, not use your voice at all, we'll get started. Let me take the opportunity to welcome those of you back who've been away from the summer or for the summer. Welcome back. And let me say thank you to all the rest of you that were here working, keeping the doors open and serving our students. So give yourselves all a big round of applause for being here today. Hey, let's give a big shout out to our shuttle drivers. That's pretty cool, right? Hopefully some of you took advantage of that. Appreciate that. And I think everybody inside should turn and wave at everybody outside. What do you think? Just give everybody outside a good wave. Hope you're all enjoying yourself out there. It's a nice morning out there. Well, let's get started with some introductions. First of all, I'm really very pleased to be joined by 5 of our 7 trustees. And I'll go this way just because I keep an order that way. We have Dr. Paul Da Silva. Paul. We have Suzanne Brown-Poe. We have Stephanie O'Brien. We have our longest serving trustee with 27 years, Wandine Trainer. And a special welcome to our newest trustees with probably less than 27 days on the job, Trustee Martinez. I appreciate you all very much. The board worked hard yesterday. They had a meeting and got a lot done. As is tradition for our convocation, we have the opportunity to welcome the many new members to our community, new full-time employees, part-time employees. And I would like to invite part of the Fierce Force to come up and help me do this as I explain this. Let's give Mia Robert Shaw, General Counsel, and Dakota Harris Nicky, Executive Director of Human Resources. Big round of applause. So they're going to help be spotters, and I don't think they'll be needing them. I just cut it. Oh, I don't believe they'll be needing the microphones just yet. But here's how it works. Even though you can read the names up here, I'm going to read your name and ask you to pop up really quickly, right? Pop up. And then we have this thing now we're doing with each get 1 clap, right? Why don't we try that? Don't you guys want to lead us in 1 clap? Everybody get ready, 1 clap. Okay. See, it's all about getting a little bit of love on the front end, right? And then we'll give everybody a lot of love on the other hand. That makes the process go by more quickly. So got it? Okay. Now the idea of our spotters here is because sometimes it's difficult for me to look up to see if the person's actually here. But they're going to throw some energy towards where the people will stand up. Okay. We good with this? Okay. Let's do this. First of all, new full-time employees. Mariah Ashby, Administrative Assistant 2 in Umoja. We have Elizabeth Bonner, ESL Instructor, College Skills. We have Chanel Brock, Program Coordinator, EOPS Care and Cal Works. We have Christine Burton, Instructional Specialist, Dental Assistant, Health Sciences. We have Tony Clark, Director of Fiscal Services. Seth Courtwright, Graphic Design Instructor, Career Education. Susan Calderoy, Nursing Instructor. Enzo Guerrero, Assistant Director of Facilities, Planning, Maintenance, and Operations. How are we doing? You doing good? Okay. Andrea Guzman, Enrollment Services, Associate 1, Enrollment Services. New slide. Tessa Kaplan, Human Resources, Tech 2. Mandy Kinnard, Administrative Assistant 3, Kinesiology. Leah Lara Dominguez, Basic Skills Program Coordinator. Angela Lingo, Human Resources Operations Manager. Nicole McIntyre, Mesa Program Director, Math and Sciences. Mary Angela Morales, Administrative Assistant 2, Counseling. Liza Myers, Nursing Instructor. Miguel Opereza, ESL Instructor. Sarah Paoli, Program Coordinator, Community Programs. Turn the page again. Caitlin Ralston, ESL Instructor. Zachary Rosen, Research and Planning Analyst. Lorian Russell, Kinesiology Instructor and Head Men's Basketball Coach. Malika Smith, Administrative Assistant 2, Student Activities and Advocacy. Joanne Tier, Enrollment Services Associate 2. Jefferson Valderas, Accounting Technician. Laura Weeby, Music Instructor, Performing Arts. Imgard Witt, Payroll Specialist, Fiscal Services. And that is our new full-time employee. Let's give a round of applause. You guys did good. Okay. Now, I always say, you've always always heard me say that we could not do what we do without our valued part-time employees, right? So we're going to now take a moment, and those of them that are there, we're going to recognize them as well. And so here we go. Here's new part-time faculty, actually. Gary Edelkar, film. BB Kathleen, nursing. I think that may have supposed to have been Kathleen Beebe. No, I'm not the quickest, but I think that's probably the way it should have been. Okay. Shen Yi Shen Nico, ESL. Janet Christensen, ESL. Heidi Clay, nursing. Jeff Goodland, multimedia studies. Mira Horn, engineering. Sarah Jackson, broadcasting digital journalism. Turning the page. Guadalupe Jimenez Martinez, counseling. Jonathan Justo, counseling. Sheena Kim, counseling. Every Kwong, art, 2D art. Lynn Mesa, ASL. Peter Parrish, drama. And Jared Ramos, nursing. Okay, turn the page again here. Kevin Seeley, coaching, sports conditioning and volleyball. Matthew Tedford, art history. David Trout, biology. Irving Ventura Rafaela, coaching soccer and sports conditioning. What it says up there, okay. Aubrey Wade, certified nursing assistant. Anita Walter, ESL. Dina Wilson, ESL. Carrie Wright, nursing. And we have a new part-time administrator as well. John Adams, interim chief of police and director of public safety. Okay, let's give it up for our new part-time employees. So now here's where the microphones come in. Every once in a while, we miss somebody, right? So if you are new to the college community and we missed your name, we apologize first of all, but please pop up and we're going to ask you to introduce yourself. Did we get it all right this time? Oh, okay, please.
Hi, my name is George Amos. I'm going to be working at the Counseling Center and also intern at the Faculty Diversity Internship Program.
Can you repeat that for me? Seriously, I don't know if everybody can hear it or not. I couldn't hear it. Just get right into the microphone. Hello? There you go. Right on it.
Once again, my name is George Amos. I'm going to be working at the Counseling Center and as a therapist there and also an intern at the Faculty Diversity Internship Program.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else we missed? Anybody outside we missed? You guys still with us out there? Just checking. How about a wave from you all out there now, huh? Okay, they're still with us. Good. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all give up our new employees all a big round of applause. So as I'm getting into position here, I'm not going to forget my reminder, right? My reminder is that all those new people that we welcome to the community today, we'll have a coffee date, tea date, wine date if you want, before they leave here today. Let's make sure that they all feel welcome to the community so that we know that they're going to feel very comfortable in their time with us. Okay, so this morning, let me get in position here. This is a long way up for a short guy, so give me a break here, okay? So this morning is my 36th convocation as a college president. 36. And I believe most of you know that this is my last, right? So I wanted to take the liberty of actually sharing a bit of reflection with you about what convocation has meant to me over these past, now nearly 13 years here. Who was here in 2011, in January 2011, in Olney Hall for that first convocation that I was at? Quite a few people, that's great. Right? In Olney Hall. And I don't know if you all remember, but those first, from my perspective, the first couple of convocations were pretty rough, right? A lot of tension in the air. And at the time there was, my biggest takeaway the first was, boy, folks weren't having much fun, right? And this should be a little bit of fun too, right? But during that time there was some challenging labor relations, as you all, so those of you there recall, which often then equals kind of a lower morale. There were a pile of unresolved grievances. And in those days, for some reason, on the front page of the board packet was all this list of unresolved grievances. So you probably remember that, right? And I don't know why it was, right? Let's just show off the fact we've got problems, right? And then just in general, there was no oral lectures. So I also recall that there was a laser focus on accreditation, which is ironic because we're going to have a focus on accreditation here in a bit. And I don't know if Sarah McKinnon and Yolanda Bellissimo over here might want to shut the doors if they are, because they may go run screaming out of their PTSD as to what was going on with accreditation at the time. So I arrived December 1st, and then just in the previous couple months in October, there had been a full-scale visit, right? Full-scale visit. And they left this gift. They left this gift of 7 commendations, which was nice, right? The other part of the gift that wasn't so nice was this 9 recommendations, right? So, and that report actually officially came to me on December 10th. But thank gosh for both Sarah and Yolanda, because they had already mobilized the college. Yeah, spinning around the college. They had already mobilized things, and things were in action, because it wasn't too far into the year, October 31st, that we had to submit a response to the visit, right? So all of that good work, again, led to the college being taken off of warning, and then we've been doing a lot of accreditation work ever since. But as time went on, I wanted to share with you what became important to me about a convocation, right? First and foremost, it should be about community building, right? First of all, let me thank you all for not pushing back on having our second fall in a row here at the Jonas Center. And I did this selfishly. I wanted to see you all, right? I really wanted to be able to see you. And if you've been on the stage with James Dunn Theater, there's these dark pockets, right? And I don't ever know who's really up. Beyond about the 3rd or 4th row, you can't tell who's there. You can't tell whether people are on their phone, sleeping, whatever, right? So thank you. I really wanted to be with you and to be able to see you all today. So also for me, it was important to celebrate life, right? Celebrate our lives together, right? And in the early, we've celebrated promotions. There was time when we would celebrate weddings. We always stayed away from divorces. And I remember in particular, it was a special moment in 2015 as we were sharing weddings that we had our first same gender report that a couple had gotten married. And I thought that was just wonderful, because that was just shortly after, obviously, it became legal. We've welcomed babies. We've shared adventures, about different adventures, transitions. We've shared about citizenship. Where's Jesse at, right? Remember? Jesse became a citizen. And we've even grieved, yeah, absolutely. And there's been times we've even grieved together, right? Because that's what the community does together. And that's why, it's always so important for me that when there is a loss, that I share that, in those messages with you broadly. So again, fun and laughter. Obviously, informative, college updates. And we have a few of those today, not as many as we were going to, but we have a few. Professional development, right? That's always important. We always dedicate this second hour of today to professional development, because that's really important. And it was very important for me that those first couple of convocations didn't seem very applicable to staff in many respects, right? And I made a commitment, like, if we're going to ask everybody to be here, whatever we do in the second hour really needs to be meaningful to everybody in the room, right? Because that's not fair otherwise. So, we've had some hits and we've had some misses. I'm not one to, you take risks, right? Whenever you stand up here and open your mouth and do things. But interesting enough, I'm in the process now of doing some merge. Oh, there's Sarah back in the room. Sarah, were you here when we loved on you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure you felt it. I don't see Yolanda, but anyway. So I'm in this process. I've begun to what I'm calling merging and purging, right? And it must have been just fate. But I came across, one of my favorite convocations, the outline for one of my favorite convocations. And I wanted to share that with you. And I remembered each of the elements of it, but I didn't remember that it was all in the same particular convocation. And this was back in January 2014. And I had the first aspect of it. I had gotten word that our SCIU brothers and sisters weren't feeling the love, right? And I had gotten word that they were going to show up in their purple. Their colors are purple, right? I heard they were going to show up in mass. I thought, well, let's embrace them, right? So I don't know why the Purple Haze song came in my mind, but we had Jimi Hendrix. They were there. We had Jimi Hendrix. We attempted. This is where we have hits and misses, right? The technology didn't go quite like we thought it would. And I probably should have picked Purple Rain, rather. It may have worked then. But in respect of our SEIU, I don't think we can appreciate them enough. And I asked some of them to wear their purple today, just as a reminder of this. But let's ask all of our SEIU, and this includes, for folks that don't know, these are custodians, these are our gardeners, these are our police, these are our tech folks that do the, carpenters, all of the skilled labor, the police, the group. So everybody stand up, SEIUs, so we can appreciate you. So the other group of classified professionals, of course, is our CSEA, and their colors are blue. And I guess they weren't too unhappy in that 2014 meeting. But I also just want to take a moment to ask all our CSEA employees to stand so that we can acknowledge them as well. So the other fun thing that we did, we had a little drawing, but this particular, we're going to have a drawing here in a little bit, we'll talk about that. But this particular drawing we only drew from SEIU, right? And I came up with this thing, again, as a part of a way to show appreciation for them and the value of the great work that they do. I decided I was going to do a day in the boots of one of them, right? So we had all their names in the hat, and the idea was that I was going to work alongside them for the day. And I did. And I don't know, but Phil Fahey, remember Phil Fahey? He was one of our gardeners, longtime gardeners. And he was working up here at the time. So I pulled Phil's name out, and it was a cold fall morning. And it gets cold up here in the fall. They had me weeding out in the front of building 27, literally. And it got a little warmer during the day, and then later in the day we moved some brush and that kind of thing. And then we had lunch together, we all had lunch together. It was a great opportunity to do that. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And I remember somebody asking me, well, I think people thought I was trying to turn this into a photo opportunity. And I don't want any pictures today. This is not about self-promotion. I was just there to work alongside Phil and we had a lot of fun. So sometimes I've done some things here at my own expense, right? You got to take risks, and then I always argue to making a connection with other people. And so in this same meeting, it was January 2014, we had some images. I wish Nicole Cruz was here because she was always so great. So, and some of you will remember, I know some of you will remember this because you ended up on stage with me, and we'll talk about that. So the first image that came up was the Ford Mustang. Then there was Mary Poppins. There was the British invasion. There was Lucky Charms cereal, which I have a box of behind me. And then an image of myself came in. So, John Goodmanson, what was it? We all turned 50 that year. John and John and I share the same birthday year. Sorry to out you if you're, we're both not 50 anymore, let's just say that, right? So, I invited other people in the community that were turning 50 that year to come to stage, and they each got a box of Lucky Charms, right? And the folks that I remember, of course, John Goodmanson, I believe Rodney was there, Rodney Craig, was Eileen Acker, and anybody else that was here then that turned 50 that came up on stage. Oh yes, Beth Patel, I'm sorry, how could I forget, Beth Patel. So the significance of the Lucky Charms box, obviously other than the fact that 50, I had put on the bottom of one of them a little sticker, and that was who got the gift card to go to dinner and so forth. So let's give our now 59-year-olds a big round of applause. They were all good sports, and I also want to give a big shout out to John Goodmanson. He is retiring after 34 years of service to the district. So usually the program, the Convocation program is what I call in the can. It's in the can by the day before, right? But sometimes I ruminate overnight and I'm driving up to work and I have an idea, right? And usually I want to change something up at the last moment. And it used to make my staff crazy, right? Whenever I said I had an idea, they just all kind of ran in different directions. And usually it worked. But back in those days, it was Kathy Joyner and Nicole and Kelly Litz at the time. And then since obviously joining me is Jesse and Mickey and Terry. So every once in a while we change things at the last moment. We've also, at the last moment, had to do things like moments of silence for fire loss, right? We've had fires just before Convocation. We've had mass shootings, we've had to change things up. To not acknowledge those things in this environment would just be terribly wrong. And I also say that we ended up responding to a lot of stupid things that number 45 would do, and we'd have to come up and assure folks that we weren't going to do anything crazy with our students relative to the DACA or anything like that. So some of that was last minute too. But I remember the most memorable one, when it was literally on the fly, was when they announced Robin Williams' death. Now, if you don't know, Robin is one of our most celebrated alums, right? And I remember getting up and getting ready and hearing that Robin had passed, right? And this was literally, I heard this on the morning of Convocation. So I'm thinking, well, there's not time to find photos of Robin and include him in the PowerPoint or anything like that. So I had recalled that Robin has a seat in the James Dunn Theater with a little plaque on it. In fact, it is E114. And so what we did is we had to put a reserved seat, a sign on the seat so it was reserved, right? And in those days, I'd worked the room when I was younger, right? I could get up those stairs a little easier than I can now. I was working, we did the little band, and I worked my way to Robin's chair. And Dave White, always such a supporter, we did a spotlight on Robin's chair, and then we acknowledged him that way. So those are some of the kinds of things that in the moment we've changed things up to do what I call is the right thing. So, again, acknowledge my production team, Kathy, Nicole, Kelly, Mickey, Jesse, Terry. Thank you guys very much for always bringing us on. So the other thing that was been tradition and we haven't been able to do for a while is the raffle, right? And the raffle was part of fun. I've certainly had a lot of fun with the raffle. But let me tell you the backstory about the raffle, right? So you know when we're up in the James Dunn Theater, we do the breakfast part in the lobby. We're not all together breaking bread like we are here. And you saw how it was difficult to get people to sit. It's really difficult in the James Dunn Theater to get people, because people are catching up, right? They've been gone all summer and they're catching up on all the news. But that was a little, we said, okay, if they're through the door by the time 9 o'clock, they'll get a raffle ticket. Maybe that'll be an incentive for folks to sit down, right? And so some of the things that we've, let's do a raffle now, and we'll talk about it as we go, okay? So we always have some fun giveaways. I'm going to start with a bottle of wine. I was tempted to open one of those already this morning. Okay, you all got your raffle tickets. I'm going to pick one, you're going to get a bottle of wine, your choice. Okay, well, you can give out tickets. I'm going to start giving wine out, okay? Are we distributing more raffles? No, but I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay. Now I'm going to do the last three numbers, bottle of red or white wine, 635. 635. Usually it's one of my friends over here in English that gets it. They've taken up more wine over the years than young. 635, going once, twice. Okay, let's do another. Okay. 697. 697. Oh, yeah. Steve. He's the all your faculty swimming coach. You can get red or white. Okay. It's from J-Lore, one of my favorite wineries in Paso Robles. Absolutely. Okay, so let's do another one here. Over the time, I've given, some of you know I have a parking space, right? A parking space. And I've given my parking space away for a day here too. I'm going to give my parking space away twice for a whole week at a time, okay? Front row and center. 779. 779. Give them my parking space. Okay. 735. Oh. Well, don't be, come on in. I'll show you. I'll keep that one since I started it and use it as a second. Okay, well, leave your, see Mickey over here. She's gonna write down, I think you said Mickey, okay, good. Okay, so let's talk about, so we talked about that one. The other thing I've done over there is, give a round of applause. Okay. One of my favorite raffle prizes has always been, and some of you remember how it works, it's either lunch on or lunch with the president. Okay? Lunch on the president is a cafeteria voucher. Right? And I've never, I will think not twice of it if you'd rather just eat lunch by yourself. Or lunch with the president it was often a nice restaurant, right? And I had just making a list of some of the folks I recall having lunch with. Andrea Wang, Wynn Cottle, Paul Wilson, John Rodriguez, who's a former employee. If I had lunch with anybody else as part of the drawing that I'm forgetting, oh, two folks I'm just forgetting you, Beth, all the time. Patricia Seary. I apologize. But I've always had a lot of fun with these lunches, right? And, okay, so we're gonna, already got my hand. First lunch, and we're gonna do 3 of these. 735. Okay, fantastic. So here's the question. Is it lunch on or lunch with the president? Okay, there we go. Good, I'm happy about that. Okay, let's do another bottle of wine. You're so quiet. This is good. 681. 681.
Bingo!
Oh, bingo. There we go. One of our SCIU folks. Okay. Now let's do another. Okay, we're going to come back for dinner for 5, and I'll explain that at the very end. Okay. So this is another part. This is the second part. Okay. 676. Okay. Now, first of all, Meg always complains at the holiday parties that she never gets any done. Now, this is probably the thing she needs the least now, because she lives right across the campus, right? Do you want it? Okay, we'll do another, we'll draw it again. Give her a bottle of wine as a consolation. 748. This is the second parking spot. 748. Oh, Blaze! Okay. Dr. Blaze with me. Now she's a commuter, so I know she probably will. That's the second part. Okay, we're going to go back to another lunch on or lunch with the president. 691. Okay, 691. Nursing faculty. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, where are we at with wine? That's lunch. 820. Okay, 820. I've lost track. Is that wine? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we've got one more. Let's do, this is the last lunch, I think, right? We'll do lunch regardless. We'll just last one on. 786. 786. Okay. Is that going to be a lunch on or lunch with? Lunch on? Not with. Okay, okay. Those masks are okay. They're masks. Okay, where are we at? We got let's go to a bottle of wine, and we got the dinner for 5. And you're gonna love this. Okay, 615. 615. Okay. Francisco.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to get white because that's all that's left, right? We'll do one more wine. Okay, 631. 631. You already?
2 Tommy.
Okay, I guess I'm not sure. There's 2 bodies. There we go. 738. Okay, okay, so dinner for 5. Here's how this works. This isn't dinner with 5 of your besties. This is dinner with 5 people in this room. Randomly drawn. We did this one time a few years back, and they all went to dinner, and then they all went to a play by our drama production. And the production that they will be seeing is Peter and the Starcatcher. and probably dinner at the guest house. So that's not a bad deal, right? So, here we go. Let's see who's going to have dinner together. And like we did last time, I think, over here, he was the coach. Alexia was the one that coordinated. So we'll probably have to find a coordinator here on this one too. 764. 764. Okay. Okay, Becca. I think you have the skills to be the coordinator. Okay, let's see who else Becca's having dinner with. And don't take it personally if nobody jumps up. 818. Our dinner party. Dinner and drama party. 818. Becca, do you have...
Oh, wait, it's Brian. We got a student winner over here.
Okay, terrific. Okay. Unfortunately, he probably doesn't know what he's getting into because he was outside, right? You're having dinner with 5 people. It's going to be wonderful, right? 815. Okay, Stephanie, 815. Okay. I think next convocation you should invite these guys back and ask them how it goes. 684. 684. Okay. I have dinner with these people. This is good, yeah, this will be fun. And the final one, 664. 664. 664.
Are you sure you didn't send 76?
Okay. Last one. 609. 609. Right over here. Where's the last one? Okay, so I hope you had a good time. Thank you for indulging me with my last raffle. Okay, January, report out on how dinner went. Okay, in the spirit of recognition and appreciation, we're going to do a little bit of that right now. And in addition to parking in my parking space for a week, we want to acknowledge Dr. Blaze Woodley, as she has recently stepped down as the Puente English coordinator. And obviously she's been very dedicated to Puente students and her contributions to the college. She was the first Puente English coordinator of the college, helping to start the program in 2008, along with Dr. Luz Moreno. And she has decided that she is going to step away from that, and her colleagues and I want to appreciate her. So of the 14 years of the program, Blaze was the Puente English coordinator. So we did a little math. We figured 11 years, 25 roughly students a year, 275 students have been impacted and their lives made better based on Blaze's work. So Dr. Woodley, would you join us up here? Those flowers are her flowers, right? Well, they are now, so come on up. However, I think they may have been for the part. Okay, no, let's do this. Let's do this, Blaze. We're going to leave your beautiful flowers up here until these beautiful students are done, and then you get to take the flowers with you. How's that? Okay. Okay, at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Carrie Torres. This is another Fierce Force member to come on up, and along with Meg Pascal, to give us an update on accreditation. So thank you all very much for indulging me.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to go from all that good fun to the
All right, now I'm mic'd. So as I was saying, you're going to see a lot of names up here, but I think it's really important to recognize that this was a group effort. So before we even get into our slides and explaining everything, I'd like just for all of us to give ourselves a round of applause, because there was a lot of work, so thank you. I am going to give a special shout out here to our, as you saw that they were up there, all of our co-chairs and the working teams behind it. Really, we appreciate your focus and dedication in this. Also, a huge thank you to all of you that sit on governance committees, because you saw every iteration of this plan. You were very kind to us with your gentle edits, your great contributions, and your amazing insights. So thank you to everybody in the governance process as well.
So we hired an ICER editor to help us finish the document. We also hired an ICER reader, and we wanted an objective take on our ICER document to make sure that everything we wrote in there was accurate and also that we were meeting the standards. So after we got all the parts done, some strengths emerged that were notable, so I want to share those out with you. First, that we have a long-standing commitment to using data to improve student learning. Second, that we are demonstrating in practice our commitment to equity and anti-racism. And third, that we are empowering faculty to meet our mission and to provide quality instruction. The next one is that we effectively manage all of our resources, that we are good stewards of our institution. And finally, and I think that today especially this resonates, that we have benefited from our administrative stability, which is pretty unique among community colleges. So we are fortunate for that. Okay, so an area that we can always improve, and that's part of the accreditation process, is that we're engaged in continuous improvement all the time. But there was an area that stood out that we needed to identify for ourselves, so we could get out in front of that, and that was an area in standard 1B2, and that has to do with our assessment of our student learning outcomes at the course level. And so what we've done is that we have put together a plan, which Meg's going to talk about in a minute. The reason that we did this is because when we looked at the data, and this came from our ICER reader, so that technically we did meet the standard, but do we have a robust practice that really wasn't evident? So we need to do more in that area, which means that what we need to do is assess across all of our courses. And so again, we'll talk about that in a sec. So now we're going to move into the plan for improvement.
So all of you guys that were at chairs and coordinators on Monday, you heard the plan, right? The plan is that instead of our piecemeal approach, we're going to try a new one. And it is going to be that in 1 year, we will have assessment, and the following year will be analysis. And all of us will do it at the same time. The reason this is so important, of course, is that when we're not mapping all of our classes, the programs, certificates, and transfer possibilities suffer because we don't have the data and analysis that we need on there to ensure that we're moving seamlessly throughout. And so that is the new plan. I think that it's going to be a good one, and I think if it becomes part of our practice, it should be fairly painless, and more importantly, it's going to help our students. So that's what we're moving forward to, and thank you, Logan.
There will be a communication coming out later in the month, so please look for that. Okay, next steps. So on August 28th, the president and we have a meeting with the peer review team, the co-chairs, so we'll kind of learn about next steps. And then the peer evaluation team, they are going to convene in mid-October, and then they'll discuss and identify any questions or inquiries that they have for us. And then we'll be notified of those inquiries. And then we will, based on the inquiries, if we have any that will require sort of a substantive response, that we will convene an internal team based on the area that we respond to. And then our team visit is scheduled for the week of March 4th, so we don't know exactly which day that week, but we'll be notified at some point. Plan on that for March 4th. Okay, and here we do have the list of our peer review team. I'm not going to read all these names, we see them on there. And then we still have our ACCGC staff liaison, Kevin Bottenball, so he will be working with that peer review team. I do want to acknowledge Shook Chung, Holly Schaefer, and Mary Kessler, because at the end, they really worked a lot, nights, weekends, to get all the evidence done. And then we have this beautiful document. So if you do want a hard copy, let me know. It's on the web, and we printed a few copies, but thank you for all your efforts. We would not have finished if it hadn't been for those three. Now, we have a video that we'd like to share with you.
Oh, hello everyone. I'm Luann Mullen, a member of ESCOM and a PAC. Oh, hello everyone. I'm Luann Mullen, a member of ESCOM and a past ESCOM president. Hey, Hannah.
Oh my God, it's good to see you, and it's great to see all of you. I've only been retired for a bit. For those I haven't met, I'm Anna Culleton, former Director of School and Community Partnerships. And look who's coming. Hey, Carl.
Hi.
Hey.
It's nice to see all the old and new faces. And I'm Carl Cox, retired College of Marin Library Director and faculty. And hey, Dad.
Hey. Hey, Paula.
I'm Kathy Joyner, retired executive assistant to the superintendent president and the board of trustees. And as you can see, we all have a connection to the College of Marin. But you're probably wondering why we're crashing Convocation. Well, while we have your attention, what do you think, guys? Yes.
Yeah.
Not been on yet.
Yeah. If you've done the math like I have, College of Marin Centennial is just a couple of years away, which is why Dr. Kuhn assembled us similarly to how Nick Fury assembled the Avengers.
That's right. But we're assembled to form the College of Marin Centennial Planning.
You know, we haven't done a lot yet, but we want you to get ready because we're going to need everyone to help plan this special set of celebrations for this very special college we love as it hits 100 in the 25-26 academic year. And speaking of celebrations for special reasons, while we have you here, there's a rumor going around that Dr. Kuhn is retiring soon. Kathy, it's true. In fact, I'm on the search committee for his replacement. Not that anyone can replace David.
Then before we celebrate the centennial, we need to celebrate him.
Yeah.
And that's where all of you come in. My sources tell me that there's a Crackerjack squad working on a send-off to which we will include a video tribute.
For all of us who know and love Dr. Kuhn, starting today, we have opportunities to submit a video message, which Nicole Cruz, hey Nicole, will edit together into a tribute video. So look out for Nicole on the sign to Building 18, Room 102, just next door, if you'd like to record your message right after the Convocation breakout sessions.
And additional information is coming soon on other chances for you to record your message, as well as the events this semester to celebrate and thank Dr. Kuhn for his dedication and leadership. And in case you're curious what a video message might look like, hi David, you've led this college to some wonderful places over your tenure and have done so much for everyone here. Aside from being a genuine leader and a thoughtful and caring individual, and also an all-around just go-getter, who else would dress up as Gomez from the Addams Family to appease Nicole and me for the Halloween party? That was one of my favorite times, and I have pictures. It was a pleasure to work with you, but more than that, it has been a pleasure to have you as a friend. I wish you all the best as you retire from the College of Marin. It's your time now. Have fun. You know, David is a remarkable leader. He inspires all of us every day. I mean, he truly cares about every person on this campus and supports their aspirations for success. You know, he's smart, he's authentic, he's dynamic. Well, he's just the greatest.
Hi, David. It's been, when I first came to this college many years ago, I had a chance to meet a lot of different presidents, a lot of different administrators, faculty, so on and so forth. And the last 12 years, you and I have been able to develop a relationship and a friendship where we talked about educational objectives and special committees and ways to raise money to help serve all the students at College of Marin. And you've been very good and very kind with your time and mind, with my time also, to do the same thing. I've been very pleased with the way in which you've taken the college over the last 12 years to get it to the place where it's at right now. I wish you a lot of luck in terms of what you do in the future, but I think you'll be a great educator and a humanitarian. Enjoy yourself. Take care.
I very vividly remember meeting Dr. Kuhn for the very first time in December of 2010 when he first started. There was a welcoming reception for him, and as our team was in line waiting to meet Dr. Kuhn, I watched him, the way that he greeted everyone that came through the line so warmly and repeated their names very intentionally. And I realized later that year, at the next convocation, when he was emceeing the raffle and would choose the different winners, he would look up into the audience and see who was coming down, and he would call everyone by name. The fact that he took the time to meet everyone on campus, to learn our names, I think we all know how it makes us feel when someone takes that kind of care. And I've always thought of that as being one of his strongest qualities that has meant so much within the community. It's just that easy. Great seeing everyone, but we've taken enough of your time. We'll be back in touch soon. Have a great semester.
All right, so they weren't kidding. All right, we are set up right around the corner at 11:30 today in Building 18, Room 102. There will be a crew of people waiting for you so that you might record your message for Dr. Kuhn. So we hope to see you all in there. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks.
Well, needless to say, I didn't see that coming. And I thought if I announced a year in advance that I could get to a point where the grieving would take place by the time I got to the day anyway. So enough of that for now. So thank you all very much. I'm really touched. And you see why I picked the 4 people to be on the steering committee for the Centennial. They're all really good people. So with that, and Beth, I'm sorry that you have to follow, but Beth Rose is pinch hitting for Vice President Nelson today to give you some really important updates on capital projects. And I'm recognizing we're now a little bit back on time, but we'll get to our amazing student group here just in a few minutes. Beth, give Beth a round of applause.
Good morning, all. Thank you for having me here today. Just a couple things we'll run through quickly. Updates on the Learning Resources Center, Molinas, Fire Foundry, and various summer projects that happened while you all were away. First is a Learning Resources Center. If you guys have driven by campus on Kentfield, you will notice that so much work has happened over the summer, and we're really excited for this project to move forward. Increment 1, which is a lot of moving earth around, frankly, to make way, has begun in earnest and will be completed around October timeframe. Big milestone for the project was that we got the district state architect to, I'm just going to hold this, I guess, to approve the plans, which is a huge milestone. For reference, plans were in DSA for a full year. They were submitted in July of 2022. It took them an entire year to get approved. We're off to the races and cooking with gas on that. And we've been able to start procuring long lead items such as HVAC equipment and such, so that will not cause a delay. And we are having a groundbreaking ceremony on August 30th during community hour, so we hope to see you all there. Here's a couple of items that have been happening on site of the LRC over the summer. Cement deep soil mixing. Essentially, the soil is pretty liquefied. There's a lot of water in there. And so over 400 columns were dug deep into the soil that the foundation will rest on the site of the LRC. Mass excavation has occurred. That picture you're seeing in the middle was from the webcam yesterday. And so you can see a lot of dirt is being moved around. And then unforeseen conditions abound on this project, as always. What you're looking at is a 1,500-gallon underground storage tank that was discovered on site in June while the contractor was digging for mass excavation. And as you can imagine, the hoops that the project team has had to jump through to get that removed and to make sure all the soil was remediated appropriately was Herculean. So thank you to the project team and also the county for working with the college in lockstep to get that taken care of. Some other interesting things, I don't have a photo of it here. A number of cultural items have been uncovered as well, such as bottles and artifacts and such from just long ago, which is really cool, and we're stockpiling those for display later on, so that'd be really cool. Bolinas Field Station. We had a groundbreaking ceremony for the Bolinas Field Station on July 21st. We're really excited. I'm sure Keith Rosenthal is the most excited to get this project kicked off and running. There was a contractor kickoff meeting on the 14th. And there will be a community meeting on the 19th of September via Zoom to get that community on board. It's going to be a special logistical situation getting that project built out there. We're excited to work in lockstep with the contractor and the community to make sure that the entire 12-month of construction goes as well and quickly as possible. What you're looking at is this picture on the right-hand side. We had an organization come out called Multivista, and what they have done is they have video and pictorially documented all of these points that you're looking at on site. And every 2 weeks they're going to come out and take pictures from those exact same locations so that we as an organization and as a project team can monitor how things are going out there, since it is slightly remote from our normal campus operations. So we can keep track of how it's going out there and be able to work with the neighbors if anything does come up in the future. So we're excited about that. Moving on to the Fire Foundry. So the Fire Foundry is a partnership with the College of Marin and the County of Marin Fire. And they're looking at building, or they will be building, vehicle bays such as this outside adjacent to the old pool, or Building 21, as well as renovating Building 17 to turn it into a dormitory commercial kitchen for living situation. A architect was selected at the July board meeting. It will be Brick Architect. And there will be a design kickoff meeting happening here at the end of August. So that project is moving along in a very excited and quick manner. And there were also a number of summer projects that happened while you folks were away. Flooring replacements, interior and exterior window washings, asphalt replacement. I'm sure you can see the asphalt looks very nice and shiny here at IBC when you come in. That's exciting. Exterior paint at the PE building. And then the terrazzo floor and student service center was stripped and polished. That's it. Any questions? Please let me know.
That was beautiful. You're back on schedule. What do you know? Thank you, Beth. Let's give her another round of applause. Okay. I also want to appreciate our capital projects team, our M&O group, for all the great work that happened over the summer. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, we are now going to transition into our panel discussion, the second hour of our program. So let me just take a moment to introduce our moderator today. She's a fan favorite, and you all know why. Nikisha Dyer, you know what? I love the fact that she's a College of Marin alum, right? college of Marin alum. And when she was a student, she worked with EOPS in Emoja. And then later, she became the full-time administrative assistant to the Office of Student Activities and Advocacy. Now, since July 2022, she's a program coordinator for all the learning communities. And she is the goddess of the fall, y'all, which is now scheduled for the 18th of October, right, which we'll look forward to. And I have to tell you a quick little story. So I think it was maybe the first one, the first fall, y'all. And she had Hugo Guillen out there with her in the rain. And poor Hugo had his hat up, and we had her clipboard. And I'm trying to get someplace. And, I'm originally from Seattle, and in Seattle you usually have an umbrella in your car, in your office, in home, and one stuck to your hip, right? Well, it's been 18 years since I lived in Seattle, so I was trying to get to my car while it's raining, and she stops me, and we're in the rain. I said, can we do this some other place? But anyway, so she takes it very seriously. She's always out there with her tape measure, and everything always goes just perfect. So, with that, let's give her a big round of applause. And ask her to welcome the speech. Come on up.
Take one, action. Good morning, everyone. Thank y'all for being here. We appreciate that. It's lovely to see everybody as we get ready to kick off the fall 23 semester. Thank you, Dr. Kuhn, for your generous introduction. And it's not too late. If you want to change your mind and stay, we're very open to that. So we have our wonderful student panel here who are going to share with us their experiences and their suggestions for how we can do better and how we can move this thing forward in the spirit of equity, inclusion, diversity, and walking the talk, right, according to our mission statement. So before we dig in, I'm going to remind everybody what the theme is of this whole Flex Week. So the theme is equity in action, meeting the diverse needs of students, reflecting on progress, celebrating success, and moving equitable practices forward. So before I get into that, I want to remind us all and make sure that we have a clear understanding, right, of what words mean. So people can say, so there's no room, no gray area. So when we talk about equity, we're talking about the condition under which individuals are provided the resources they need to have access to the same opportunities as the general population. Equity accounts for systemic inequalities, meaning the distribution of resources provided for those who need it most. Conversely, equality indicates uniformity, where everything is evenly distributed among people. Okay? So we ain't talking about fairness. Anti-racist, persons who actively, underline that, put in bold and highlighted, actively opposes racism and the unfair treatment of people who belong to other races. They recognize that all racial groups are equal, i.e. nothing inherently superior or inferior about specific racial groups, and that racist policies have caused racial inequities. They also understand that racism is pervasive and has been embedded into all societal structures. An anti-racist challenges the values, structures, and policies and behaviors that perpetuate systemic racism. And they're also willing to admit the times in which they themselves have been racist. Persons are either anti-racist or racist. Ain't no middle. Persons saying that they are not racist are in denial of the inequalities and racial problems that exist. Lastly, inclusion. Authentically bringing traditionally excluded individuals and our groups into processes, activities, and decisions and policymaking in a way that shares power. So, with that said, the questions that are being asked today and the responses given by our wonderful students here, please listen and receive them with an open heart and open mind. Understand that they are being shared out with you with an ethic of love, so please receive them in that space. All right, so the folks, I'm allowed to introduce their own selves because they're grown folks. And these are actually our bosses. It's a panel of this is who we work for, because if they're not here, we turn it over.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kobe Wilson, him. My major is social behavioral science. I'm a student athlete in the Moser Peer Metro.
Good morning. My name is Charlotte Ruiz. My pronouns are she, they. I'm an art major, and I'm a MAPS peer mentor.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nelson Masariegos, pronouns he, him. I'm a computer science major, and my affiliations are with the MAPS community and EOPS.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiamo Chawalala. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a biomedical engineering major, and my affiliation is ASCOM as Senator of Student Activities and Services.
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Olivia Thorgerson, and my pronouns are she, her. My major is biochemistry, and my learning communities are MESA and STEM.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Brian. I'm a kinesiology major, and I'm affiliated with Puente.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Janet Hernandez. Pronouns are she, her, and I'm with Puente.
Thank you. Another nice warm welcome for our student panelists. So, as I ask each question, each panelist will go down and answer, and that's how we're going to do this. Okay. So, question number one. Why is it important to you that faculty and staff approach student support and mental health support through an anti-racist equity practice?
It is important to offer this support through an anti-racist equity practice because faculty and staff are the very people as students come to for guidance and leadership. We receive our education through these leaders who are approaching students in a manner that opposes racism and recognizes racism in systems to build a more comfortable environment.
As someone who's been given immense privilege and also attention all around, I really want people to have the same opportunities that I've been given and the same attention.
Approaching student support and mental health support through an anti-racist and equity approach is important for several reasons. Number one, I would say, is inclusivity. An anti-racist and equity approach ensures that all students, regardless of ethnic or racial backgrounds, all feel heard, valued, and supported. Second reason is cultural sensitivity. Different racial and ethnic backgrounds all have distinct and different approaches when it comes to mental health support. And an anti-racist equity approach encourages all staff and faculty to understand and respect these cultural differences, thus becoming more culturally sensitive and effective.
As my colleagues next to me have just mentioned, but most of the faculty and staff in this room have come from a place of privilege, and in that place of privilege comes opportunities that most have not had. And when you use these practices of anti-racist practice as well as equity practice, you empower others who have not had the same opportunity as you. So it is important that you provide that opportunity to all students and your peers among you as well.
Very good points. It's important to approach mental health support and anti-racist equity practice with an open mind and have a growth mindset as well. I think it's important to challenge your biases and prejudice and acknowledge and hold yourself accountable when you are being prejudiced and biased. Also, it's vital for you to advocate for your students and be an ally to others.
For me, as an immigrant, I can say that impressions last. And so not being treated fairly or being discriminated against kind of creates a huge impact on, I'm not talking on me. And if I were to not be treated fairly, I would probably not even come here or be in school. And that also relates to the reason why a lot of Hispanics don't want to come to college, just because they're afraid. Because it's a big move. It's not the same high school to college. it's different.
It's important for staff and faculty to support student and mental health through an anti-racist equity practice because it helps reduce the stigma surrounding mental health, especially within communities, like my panelist Brian had said prior before that. Destigmatizing mental health will help support students, but especially in seeking help, especially within the classroom or with faculty and staff.
Thank you. And just a sidebar, this is not beer. We cracking open water. This guy's looking like Bud Light up here. Okay, to follow up to that, what do you wish all faculty and staff understood about equity and how it impacts you as students?
I wish faculty and staff understood that equity is not sameness. Equity is about providing the needs to each individual. Realistically, we are not all the same regardless of what a constitution or a mission statement may say. We must embrace differences and act to them accordingly.
I wish that all faculty and staff knew that people are coming from all different kinds of backgrounds with all different kinds of skill sets, and that it is your job to reveal those hidden skills and to help them expand upon them.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what my colleague said, and I feel like you guys already kind of know this to an extent, but yeah, not every student has the same allocated resources and opportunities to succeed. Some students will have to work a lot harder than others, and that's just the reality of it. So, I just ask that being more tolerable with the small things, I think that goes a long ways.
I think my colleagues have said a lot about what is they wish, and I feel the same way as well. I think for me, I've seen that out of respect and out of wanting to help grow others, if students are not coming towards you during their office hours, I think it's a show of the impact that you have made as a professor, because students tend to lean towards people that they feel support them, that feel trusted, that feel like they can come to them with anything, and especially during office hours when other students are not around, it's important for them to have that moment with you. So I find that in the context, if a student were to be asked in a room full of people like this, if any faculty member or staff has made you successful in your life, if you were to think if they would mention me by name, or you by name, is that how you would approach each and every student in any capacity?
As many of the panelists have mentioned previously, is every student is unique and every situation is unique, and some students need more help than others. And I think it's important to have empathy for each student and make connections with each student. And that way they feel comfortable to come to you if they do need help. Just kind of opening the door, and using your position to positively impact each and every one of us.
Like my peers have said,
What do you wish all faculty and staff understood about equity and how it impacts you as students?
Like I said earlier, actually, you guys have a huge impact on us, and it's really all about making sure you guys understand that everybody is a different world, every head is a different world, everybody comes from a different background, different experiences, everybody learns differently, and it just for me, it's kind of have a open mind of, understanding and empathy, and understanding that everybody is different, there's different learning styles out there, and just being equitable with everybody, giving people what they need.
What I wish for you guys to understand about equity is that equity is very crucial for creating a safe and a stable environment, especially for students, no matter their background. It can help them thrive and succeed for their own education as well as in life. And when staff and faculty acknowledge equity, it empowers students, especially as For me, it empowers me to advocate and continue my education journey.
Again, thank you so much for sharing. So please share what resources and support you have found helpful at the College of Marin.
Yeah, I found my learning community, Moser, to be a key resource in my success at College of Marin. I joined the village since day one I got to Marin. It provides a sense of community and a safe space for Black people and other people on campus. You can go into our portable and find people studying, conversating, playing games, eating, and somebody knocked out on the couch. And it's open doors and give me opportunity throughout being here that I'm forever grateful for. Along with another resource I found is the food pantry on Wednesdays. I live in a house of 4 athletes, so being able to get a bag of groceries right on my campus is real helpful and convenient.
Some resources that I've utilized are the Calm Pantry as well. Also the Student Health Services. I know many people who've used the Plan B resource that's there. Also the technology lending has been tremendously helpful for me. I've been without internet for the last 5 months, and so the hotspot has been super helpful. And as well as my learning community has helped me tremendously. I wouldn't be up here talking, and I wouldn't have the same social skills that I do today without the MAPS community.
Yeah, I'd also like to give a huge thank you to the MAPS learning community. Coming off of a semester-long break from school, MAPS really helped me reel myself back into the groove of school, which I found really helpful. Also, I'd also like to give a big thank you to the EOPS community. Their readily available counseling has been amazing. The counselors are really patient. I'm very grateful for that. They also have a vast outreach to other resources, so that's also really awesome. Not to mention that both of these learning communities have their own space on campus, so I'm always finding myself just stopping by that room and relaxing and get some work done in there.
I'm grateful to be at a community college that offers so many resources, and I have the advantage of taking so many of those in for myself. I think the 3 biggest ones for me were my counselor, Rachel. She's like there in the corner. Rachel Klein. Not only has she pauthed a successful way for me in my career, but she's just made me a better student, a better person outside of just my career and being in school. And she's also led me to ASCOM, which ASCOM is a big part of my life. I find that it helped me become a better leader. It helped me take up space where I need to represent those that have not been represented. And my advisors have also been just one of the most amazing people in my life. And they also led me to the last thing, which is, I'm proud to say, I use psych services on campus. And as an international student living away from home with no one here, and a Black student and a woman, it's hard having so many of these things on you. And everyone's like, okay, I'm 22, and oh, you're still a baby. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a 2-year-old with 50-year-old problems. It's hard. So psych services has been just one of the most amazing services on the campus, and it's allowed me to navigate mentally in order to help myself and just be successful as a student.
As a member of the Mesa and STEM learning communities, I have found the tutoring resources extremely helpful, specifically with the math lab and Dr. Dolvin-Meyer's workshops for general chemistry 2 that helped me a lot with understanding the difficult concepts of general chemistry 2. And through the Mesa community and the STEM community, I've been able to meet a lot of friends and make some connections that way as well. And the zero-cost textbook program has been very helpful for my STEM classes. And I've also taken advantage of the free food on Wednesday's pantry and the food offered at Health and Human Services. So all around, like Tiamo's mentioned, there's a lot of great resources out there for all of us. So thank you.
In my experience, I think I found helpful the learning communities. I was able to make a lot of friends, a lot of connections. I was actually, I am a point-of-peer mentor. So I've been able to help the new students. Also, the Foods on Wednesday, I gotta sustain myself 100%. So I think that's a big help. And lastly, the zero cost textbook classes and the Foods on Reserve. Just because, again, I gotta sustain myself, and if I don't have to buy a book, then that's a huge help.
What I have found helpful for me while here at College of Marin is my learning community. Puente, they have opened doors for me. As Brian had said, I was also a peer mentor for Puente, where I would help students as well. Also personal connections. I've met amazing people through my learning community, Puente, not just with my English professor, Blaze, but also with my counselor, Luz, and of course, lovely Nikish, who I go to for any help, any issues that I have personally. So that has been helpful and very supportive for the type of lifestyle that I have.
Please share what additional resources and support is needed here at the College of Marin.
Support is needed for the commuters to come. I come from Oakland every day, so speaking from personal experience, there's a need for help to commuters. Between hours of traffic and added up vehicle expenses, it is something I'm willing to sacrifice to be here. I propose a system that rewards commuting students with gas cards or bridge toll rewards to those who maintain a certain GPA. This system uses an incentive that promotes academic success.
I know a lot of bus routes have been cut recently, and some students are only able to take classes at night. So how are they supposed to get home and get to class? So I would like to see the bus routes get put back in place for those students that may work during the day.
I kind of just want to throw this out there, but I think that college could see to offer legal and tenant rights education. I'm pretty sure that a few of us here either rent or lease your home, and I think that having workshops or classes with information about legal rights and responsibilities could be a nice addition. I live in a predominantly low-income Hispanic community, and within the previous couple of months, I've seen gentrification slowly creep up into my community, which has kind of been in the back of my head and kind of worrying me. So, and I know that a big population of our comm students live in this community, so I think that adding this could really benefit the college.
My fellow students and colleagues just mentioned so much, but I think in addition to that, it's just if College of Marin could allow for shuttles as well, could help. I know shuttling from or to different areas can help alleviate the cost and alleviate the time it takes for students to get to school or come to or go home, and or if that is also not possible, we could also have affordable dorming or like renting like rooms for a week. I know a lot of students, like my colleague Kobe, comes from Oakland, and having a room to rent for the week before going home on the weekend allows them to be able to have a good night's rest without having to wake up early in the morning to either catch the bus or go on longer routes for transportation. And we have the resource center that's been built, and it's going to be there for learning communities, but I think it's also important to have a space for all students on campus. A lot of students are there from, for example, me, I'm on campus from 9 till 7 every day, and it's important for me to be able to recuperate, to be able to be in those classes and be present. So having a center where, for example, there's a pod where a student can rest up in between classes just so that they can recuperate and be active and be able to listen and just work as well.
Can you elaborate on that
that point, I think it is very important for there to be a space for everybody to relax, rejuvenate, and be present, because we need spaces for everyone to rest, regardless of what learning community they're from or if they're not a part of a learning community. So having that space would be very important for all students, and to reach out to each other and meet new people as well. As my colleagues have also mentioned, transportation, the shuttle idea as well. I know personally, I live close to the SMART train in Novato, and I would take the SMART train to school, but there isn't a shuttle from the station to College of Marin. So just the addition of that would help me and other people a lot with other forms of transportation that are more eco-friendly. So those are my suggestions.
I'm gonna sound very redundant, y'all, but some sort of student lounge, just to relax, because it can get very depressing, very stressing to be from school. I am in school from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. just because, again, if I go to my house, I ain't gonna do anything. I'm gonna be straight up with you. If I go to my house, I ain't gonna do anything. And it can get very stressing, very depressing to be at school with nothing on my phone. And sometimes I want to take a nap in Puente, but I can't because there's people looking at me, there's people studying, and if I be snoring in there, I don't want to do that.
Some additional resources that I feel maybe some support would be some sort of gas gift cards or some sort of thing to help with gas. I myself have a car, but unfortunately sometimes by the end of the week or the start of the week where I have to be at College of Marin, I have trouble filling up my car with gas. So I stress out, and although there is a lot of opportunities where I can get some sort of support, but because of the income that my family has, I don't qualify for those. So no, getting additional support for gas and some type of transportation, because I was thinking about maybe doing this semester coming on the bus, but hearing now that there's bus cut hours, I don't really think of, I'm not even considering it at this point, but some sort of support, especially in gas, since gas prices are going up.
On to question number 4. Please share when you felt a true sense of belonging and calm because of something a faculty or staff.
Question 3.
Okay.
Question 3.
Oh, my bad. Glad I gave y'all the questions. Okay, so take 2, action. Question number 3. What does equitable support inside and outside the classroom at COM look like?
I had the opportunity to go to a Moser Summit at UC Berkeley, where the Director of Missions defined equity as understanding differences as assets. Equitable support in the classroom looks like understanding your students. Not every student learns the same, receives information or criticism the same. They have different relationships with school and come from different experiences, etc. So just including students' assets into the curriculum builds the class up. And outside the classroom, it looks like being able to just provide and progress for students as much as possible, even when they're not in the classroom. This is directing them to any support that they need. Not saying faculty needs to have all the answers, just rather they're able to point students in the right direction to help student needs.
When I think of equitable support, I think of one of my good friends that the MAPS advisors tried to hire last year in the fall, but were unable to do so because of lack of citizenship. This is not equitable, this is not equal. We should be accepting these people into our community with open arms. We should be able to pay them. And I was let down, she was let down, and our whole community was let down.
Equitable support in the classroom, I'd say, looks like flexible assessments, providing diverse assessment methods that allow students to demonstrate their understandings in ways that suits their strengths would be really nice. Outside of the classroom, I would suggest encouraging your students to form groups so that they can lean on each other throughout the semester.
A lot of great
suggestions were made. I think for me, aside from teaching and learning about the facts from a textbook, teach me how to learn as a student. One of my professors here, there in the back, he actually taught me that school is a place to learn. Schools is there to teach you how to learn, and teaching us how to learn just helps us develop those skills and use them in environments outside of the classroom, outside of school. And although I did not learn or remember anything he taught me about the textbook, I do not know what a tangent is. I found that the lessons that he taught were more equitable, and I still remember the life lessons that I take each and every day. And so I think those are important to most students.
Unlike Teamo, I actually do remember what was taught. But that being said, he did instill a growth mindset, and what equitable support for me looks like inside and outside the classroom is communication. Communicating with your students, communicating the needs of what they, communicating with them, that you're there to support them and help them and try to fit their needs. Also, listening to them, building a relationship goes a long way, and using your position to help others, and most importantly, practicing empathy.
For me, it feels like having a sense of belonging, being comfortable enough to go to classes without feeling judged, and as well as being represented by the school decisions.
I agree with what both of the panelists have said. I do agree that going into a classroom and not feeling judged is very important, as I am aware that majority of you may have or may have not gone to a community college, and you've never felt that discomfort when you feel like a teacher isn't respecting you or being equitable enough in front of a class, because I have had that experience where I didn't feel that my needs were met, but more of downsided more of. So I felt that I had to kind of rethink of whether this is what I want or not. But knowing where I come from and the journey that I had, that I've been going through to get to where I am now is more important. And so, having that support and being open-minded about being in a community college is very difficult, especially when you come from a background that doesn't have the same level of education as most people in the classroom you're coming in.
Okay, now we're at question number 4. Please share when you felt a true sense of belonging at COM because of something a faculty or staff member did, either inside or outside of the classroom, and how did that experience make you feel?
Yeah, being here just gives me a sense of belonging in itself. But I think the moment that stuck with me was being a part of the Angela Davis event that was put on by Mosul. I was asked to speak in front of a crowd of 400 to 500 people, which without any hesitation I accepted, regardless of how nervous I was. I was given an opportunity and I took it. I received a lot of love from my professors in the Mosul community. After speaking and the credit that I received, it pushed me to only do better. I think that is the whole purpose why we all are here, is to take the risk and build on it.
I was at an event earlier in the spring, and I had recognized a teacher from Zoom era, and she had recognized me, which I thought was impossible at the moment. But she came up to me and she said, "Charlotte, I recognize you. You were in my humanities class." And she asked me about what my plans were, what I had lined up for the future, what my goals were. And I said them with hesitation. I was very uncertain at the time. But her excitement for me actually made me more excited for my own plan. And so that made me feel so accepted, loved, and acknowledged in that moment. And just is a highlight of my year, really.
I felt a true sense of belonging when I became a part of the MAPS learning community. One of the MAPS coordinators is actually the reason why I'm here today. I don't know if Miss Kristen is here, but I'm going to be honest. Before joining MAPS, I would just go to class, and then not even 5 minutes after class was finished, I'm already heading off of campus to go do something else. I was sitting in the back of class, just really not engaging in anything, but becoming a peer mentor at MAPS really pushed me to engage myself within the learning community, but also on campus as well, and to really find comfort in being on campus.
I've had the great ability to be able to make a good community for myself and from all staff, friends, and faculty. But the moment I felt the true sense of belonging is that I hadn't been in school for 2 years because I had taken a gap year after high school, and I moved from South Africa, moved here, started working, and I began coming here at COM, and I met my first chemistry professor, and he's at the back, Scott, and he saw a lot of my potential, and he saw me, and being diagnosed with ADHD, not a lot of people know how to deal with that, and I'm a lot, if people don't know, and I have combined ADHD, so it's a lot, and he led me and navigated me to be able to be successful in my first chemistry class, and till this day, I go up to his office hours. I know where the snack drawer is. I know where the candy is. And I just sit there and goof off or ask questions randomly. But it allowed me to be seen. It allowed me to feel comfortable. And yeah, see you in OChem.
So a lot of my colleagues have mentioned being seen and heard, and I had the pleasure of working with Fernando Alcundo Silva, and I don't know if he's here today, but I took his plant biology class in the fall of last year, and he really encouraged his students, and myself included, to pursue other academic paths and different careers in biology and ecology, and that was something that I hadn't had an experience before with, which is, giving us those different opportunities. And I felt really supported and understood, and he's worked with me to kind of determine what my path is, and he supported me with my venture to become a professor. And I really wanted, kind of sit where you guys are sitting at some point in my life, and it's exciting. So I'm grateful to have met him, and beyond that path, just one person can make that difference. So that's what I want to share.
I felt a true sense of belonging, actually twice already. Well, with this one. First of all, when I was given the chance to speak last year at the Black Tie Blue Jeans event, fundraiser last year, that was a very nervous moment for me. That was the first time I ever did it. And second of all, when I was featured in the COMS website, I don't know how I got there, but I got there.
Time where I felt a true sense of belonging would be at the same event where Brian was at, but my experience was very different. It was by a faculty, Blaze, who sent me an email. It was over the summer. I opened up my email, and the first one that popped up was her asking me to be part of this event. I am very shy, and sometimes my voice can go up and down depending on the level of confidence that I'm at, but I felt, thanks to her, I felt a true sense of belonging, and I felt that she saw me as a person that can make a difference and can actually have a voice that can be a voice of change. So I want to thank you for that and for giving me that opportunity. Love you too.
All right, people, so we're down to our last question.
B?
Messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, hold up. They're keeping me together. I'm learning too. Look at us growing together. Okay, 4A. What does equity and inclusion look like from your professor and staff members?
For A, yeah, for A.
I'm going to use an example from my professor I had, where every day in the beginning of class we had a question of the day. This is where every student would speak in front of the class and answer the question that was written. Regardless of who it was, all of us had to speak. Everyone got to share experiences, ideas, opinions, and more. But by the end of the semester, we all talked to one another, and you could visibly see the public speaking fear diminish. And I think this was a prime example of inclusion, so shout out to Mr. Troy Stevenson.
I think I would like to see teachers approach their teaching methods a different way and include those with different learning styles in their teaching. For staff, I believe just engaging with the community, engaging with students, and letting them know about the opportunities available. A lot of students will just go through school and not know about anything that's happening. So keeping them up to date would be really helpful.
I'd also like to reiterate what Kobe said. I've also had a professor where at the beginning of class, he would ask the most random question you could ever think of, and then he would pick on a student to answer, and then it would be on that student to ricochet to another student, and it would just go throughout the whole class. And by the end, near the end of the semester, that really helped ease social tensions, and everybody was really comfortable speaking out in class whenever it came time to chat again.
Just to also just reiterate what Charlotte said, I mean, I've been told once to study harder, and as someone with ADHD, saying that to me is like, it's diminishing to a student when we are told to just study harder, because I don't learn the same as everyone else, and I don't get taught the same as everyone else, and so just in the way that you approach your students, the things you say matter, the way you say them matter, the types of examples you use can impact a culture, a belief, can impact just a lot of backgrounds as well. So I encourage you to be mindful, to be patient, and to be understanding with each and every individual in the room.
To reiterate what my colleagues have said, equitable support looks like Fernando utilized different learning techniques, and as they've mentioned, I think that's really important to include different styles, because not everybody is the same, as we've mentioned. And I think, as I've mentioned previously as well, fostering a sense of community and connecting with others and encouraging questions. That goes a long way, because I know personally I struggle with asking questions, and it took me a little bit to build that up, but that's something that I hope that other people can learn that as well and work on that.
I have a specific example from one of my ethics studies class, which shout out to Professor Lara out there. Anyways, long story short, we were talking about systematic racism in the US, and of course it is a topic that mostly impacts minorities, but there were white folks in the class, and I felt that their opinions and their perspectives were really important to the topic, just because sometimes it's good to put yourself in somebody else's shoes so you understand the big picture.
For me, equity inclusion would be recognizing every student's learning abilities and the fact that not every student learns the same. As one of the panelists said, I have had the same experience where professors just say study, study, and they give one way of studying, but their way of studying isn't the way I would study. And so instead of giving us options and other ways to study, they just say, oh, well, you gotta study harder. And it's not a good answer to tell somebody that's already struggling in your class and to tell them the same thing over and over. So for me, it would be just being aware of everybody's learning abilities.
Okay, for real this time, question number 5. Bless the people. What is one thing that each person present can do now, right now, today, to support your sense of belonging and contribute to a more inclusive campus community?
I just say, put yourself out there. We all have ideas and experiences that can be offered. Our differences is what makes us grow, because diversity is the biggest building block. Different cultures, values, ideas, and thoughts are how you build. It shouldn't be left to one person, but rather the many different minds that can be used. Be true to yourself and organic, and the right people will find you.
I think my biggest piece of advice is to just be curious about your students and the people in your community. Talk to them, show them that they belong here and that you care about them.
Yeah, I would say practice active listening and empathy, taking the time to really listen to other people's stories, perspectives, and experiences without judgment. A strong sense of belonging and inclusivity is built upon respectful interactions, open-mindedness, and a willingness to learn from one another.
I'd just like to first say I'm grateful for all the faculty and staff that have been impacting me and leading me. Most of them have led me in such great directions, and I'm appreciative of all of them. And I know most of us in the room have heard of like the quote, survival of the fittest and adapting to survive. And I feel like as faculty and as staff and everyone in this room, just adapting is very important, and I believe it applies to the situation here that we're discussing, and taking the time to be self-reflective or introspective of what I'm doing, the impact I'm making, how am I creating an environment that is cultivating belonging for each student, I think is very important. Because as a leader, in a pack, if you lead people in the wrong direction, you won't survive. And this goes along with your students. If you're leading them or you're teaching them in a way that won't let them thrive, I think it's just a moment of, adapting and introspection just to ensure that you're enabling your students to be successful.
I want everyone here to leave open-minded and be compassionate and empathetic and possess a growth mindset, as Tiana's taught me and Teamo and Nelson. But I also want to emphasize every interaction matters, and kindness goes a long way. This sweater I'm wearing, I got from a customer when I was working as a barista, and I complimented her, and I was like, oh, I love it, it's so pretty, and she ended up giving it to me because I was just coming from a place of kindness and genuineness, and that really goes a long way. And so I ask each staff and faculty member, are each of you satisfied with your efforts to foster a sense of community, belonging, and inclusivity? So ultimately, as a new semester begins, it's a fresh start. And so action starts now. So self-reflect and hold yourself accountable and remind yourself of the importance of each of our positions. Each of us matter, and we all need each other. So make the interactions of the present matter and make them important.
Before I say my piece, I just want to say that I appreciate you guys for being here today, for listening to us. And I just also want to say that I know you guys, your job ain't easy. And I just want to recognize you guys for that. And anyways, not my piece. One thing I would say is just be open-minded. Just, have open arms, because everybody comes from a different perspective. Everybody has a different perspective, comes from different backgrounds, have gone through different things. Some better than others. And lastly, just, practice what you preach.
Whoa, major is education. So as a future educator, I would love to be an active listener. So I tell you guys to be active listeners, especially within different types of communities, especially with what Brian had said, everybody has different perspectives, they have different backgrounds. So just listening to them and, you know, just showing up for them comes a very long way, as my learning community has shown us, both Luz and Blaze, anytime we need help or anytime we have questions or concerns, we know where to go, and we know that they will be respectful and mindful of everything that we say. And they're very active listeners, and they actually listen to what we have to say. So I believe that you guys can go on now, and as the semester starts, just listen to your students, listen to their needs, and listen to whatever support they need.
A nice, big, warm, heartfelt round of applause for our wonderful student leaders here. I hope everybody understands the assignment, right? So there are many opportunities for intentional, focused, equity, and anti-racist actions, from something as simple as acknowledgement and saying hello, to self-reflection, honest self-reflection, as, deep as revising your curriculum to making sure that, the contributions of this diverse land are represented in what you're teaching, that folks can relate to the material. It goes a long way. I'd like to give an extra special thank you to each one of you personally. I have so much love for all of you. Kobe, Charlotte, Nelson. What your name is again, girl? Tayana, Olivia, Brian, Janet. Thank you all again for sharing your truth. And one last thing. Can somebody with a clean lens on their camera phone take our picture right fast? Clean lens. Come on, give me some pictures.
A photo opportunity. We appreciate our students opening their hearts, their courage, and being our inspiration for this semester. A good job to Teresa, great job. Given that they represented our learning communities, I want to take the opportunity to ask our learning communities, faculty, and staff to stand so that we can love on you and appreciate you for the work that you do with these students. So I think the next slide actually says wrap up, but we're not wrapping up till a few more minutes or a little bit more time. I want to invite at this particular time Professor Turner to come up, along with, I believe, Teresa T. Perales, to talk about some post-convocation activities. And then on the other side of that, then we'll wrap up. Let's welcome Professor Turner.
You make that a hard act to follow. I was actually in the course. We have each day we have a African proverb that we share with the students. I used to share one every class, but then I found out the students were taking them and repeating them and using them to write essays, so I cut that one. And one of the proverbs is. It takes a village to raise a child. But as I'm listening today, I'm reversing that proverb because it really takes a child to raise a village. So what you're seeing here, and of course there's some information which we will be hosting tomorrow, the Equity and Mental Health Symposium from 9 to 3 at Kentfield, and the other slide will come up about ways to register. This is the second annual College of Marin Equity and Mental Health Symposium. And so when you're hearing, I really want to commend the people here at the college faculty, CSEA, SEIU, etc. And before I do that, let's give a round of applause for someone who's not here, which is good because anybody can go back and say, oh, they were applauding you. And that's Dr. Stormy Miller. More than 5 years ago, before George Floyd, before the pandemic, where Dr. Miller made contact with the Steve Fund and began to talk about these issues of equity and about mental health. And so it has morphed into what we saw last year, which was the Equity and Mental Health Symposium, and what we're seeing this year, which is the second Equity and Mental Health Symposium. And the journey, I mean, we have to be proud about this, because College of Marin is in a unique position, meaning that over these last several years, staff and faculty have embraced this idea of equity. If you've been here today, you've heard equity, diversity, inclusion, equity, diversity, inclusion, and that comes from the work that all of you have done. So yes, you'll see there's a psychological services, a College of Marin Equity Institute, Marin County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, but I can't think of a department that hasn't been part of this particular discussion. So if you go to the art department, if you go to EOPS, if you go to the library, if you go to physical education, if you go to the English department with the poetry festival and people such as Professor Fran, if you move into ESL, if you move into theater with Lisa and with Dave, etc., everyone has been raising this issue. At the first Equity and Mental Health Symposium, people were here who came from Sacramento to spend the night so that they could be there for both days. There were people who came from San Jose to spend the night and stay the day, to be there for both days. So we have to give ourselves a round of applause. I mean, my mother used to always tell me, we're not where we want to be, but we're not where we were. And that's very, very important. And so I think we need to embrace this particular moment. College of Marin has that unique position to be able to be a voice. This year, we were speaking with Dr. Copeland, who formerly, I believe, was in Arizona or New Mexico. And now he's at Michigan, a distinguished professor. And we said, Dr. Copeland, can you come out to the Equity and Mental Health Conference? So he's going to be coming from Michigan to be at this particular event. As I look at it, despite being one of the people that are working on it, and you look at the diversity of speakers, some of the keynote speakers who will be here, and you can go on and register and their bios, and there's a number of other things that you can find out about some of the presenters. It's just absolutely fabulous. So this is the second Equity and Mental Health Symposium, which is coming up. Look through the program. There are some very, very good things about that, meaning there's lunch, okay? There's flex credit, and you're going to hear things that you can take back into your classes. When you hear this, when you listen to the students talking, that's what they were talking about. They're talking about the work that we've all done over the past many years. So it's very, very important. We've had a number of people register. We've got people registering from all over the Bay Area and beyond. So we look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. If you see people here from the Psychological Services, the Institute, Marin County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, I know Dr. Miller was not with us today, but you can ask questions and get more information. So we look forward to seeing you. One other thing before I let you go, make sure we'll see everybody here down at College of Marin. Tomorrow will be between the SMN building and between the AC building, and everyone's giving us a hand to pull that off. We also wanted Dr. Lauren Service to talk briefly today. She's not with us today. She is native of the chain of islands that we refer to as Hawaii and Maui. print down the information she sent to us so that we can share that out in ways that people can engage and support. I'm just very, very impressed. I'm not easily impressed, but I'm very impressed with what the college has done over the last 5 to 6 years. There's nothing we can do but go forward and upward with the work that we're doing. So please give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you, Professor Turner, and my apologies for merging two post-convocation activities. Now, for communities in practice, I believe we have Teresa Paralysis here. I'm sorry. Give Tia welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. All right. Good morning. My name is Teresa, better known as T around here. My pronouns are she, her, and they, and them, and ella. And I am the Equity and Activities Coordinator in the Office of Student Activities and Advocacy, as well as the chair of College of Marin's Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Action Committee, also known as IDEA. Shout out. The IDEA Committee created the Community in Practice Affinity Spaces back in May of 2020 in response to the brutal murder of George Floyd and the racial injustice that our beloved Black and African American community faces. The affinity groups aim to cultivate a community of trust to really dig deep in our anti-racist and equity work so we can take what we learn there and apply it to practice in our larger diverse community. I want to invite us to take a moment right now just to reflect back to summer of 2020. We were in the midst of the pandemic, and there was an increase, a wave in visibility of the movement towards anti-racism and solidarity. Reflect back on how did you show up? How did you show up in solidarity and anti-racism? And how did we as a college, we showed up to the nationwide call to action around anti-racism and equity? We know that racial inequity and oppression existed way before May of 2020 and continues. And we know that this shows up for our students inside and outside of the classroom, on and off campus. And the affinity spaces are also an opportunity for us to show up for our colleagues, for one another, because we're impacted by this too. And as we heard these amazing student leaders share, their call to action to us is to continue to do this work. It's ongoing. This is also, community practice is an opportunity for us to really take these words, these definitions that we have as a college, our equity mindedness, and really put it to action, or what I like to say, pro-action, right? So I'm honored right now to introduce 3 of our College of Marin community family members who have shown up to the community in practice over the years. Because it's really, really important that we don't only show up for anti-racism and equity when there's a crisis or racial violence. It's important that we also show up when our communities are doing well and thriving, and to continue this. So I'm excited to pass it on to these amazing folks.
Hi, I'm Gina Londo, and my pronouns are she, her. I just wanted to tell you personally how meaningful my experience with the affinity group has been. It's provided a safe and sacred space where I've been able to unpack and examine implicit bias. We are all works in progress. In order to support our Black brothers and sisters and become better warriors in the fight against racism, we need to continuously look at and discuss how our own cultural backgrounds and beliefs color our attitudes and assumptions. We have formed strong relationships with the people in our group. I know that they have my back, and they know that I have theirs when they call out or question injustice. It's a source of strength and community. There's no pressure to attend, and there's an understanding that folks may not be able to make every meeting, but those who do show up are given the respect and opportunity to take part or simply listen, free of judgment. So I invite all of you to join our affinity.
I'm Craig Koss. I teach drawing and painting in the art department. And I didn't know anything about anti-racism. I thought it was even a local term when I first signed up for the anti-racist space, just to see what was going on, what I could learn, what I could do to help. And then one of the very first things that the T did was say, okay, we're going to separate now into different affinity groups based on racial identity. And I thought, wait a minute, isn't this what we're not supposed to do? And so then we broke up, and I found myself in a Zoom space with a bunch of white people. And I thought, I just felt so uncomfortable. And I thought, you know, okay, so I came into this not knowing terminology, not feeling, a feeling that I was surely going to say something wrong, and now I'm with a bunch of only white people. And I started to, right away, Becky Ritz, John Hornick, and Colleen Mehall, who were the facilitators of the space, just created, like you said, Gina, like a sacred space, confidential, protected, where we can explore topics of systemic racism, of white supremacy that's sewn into this culture, has been for centuries, and to explore how we can become more conscious of it so that we can disassemble it. And the white affinity space has something to do that's different than the non-black person of color affinity space, the black affinity space. And we began to realize, you know, people like me who were clueless, began to realize, oh, wow, we have a lot of work to do as white people. And it's different kind of work. And so right away, as we started digging deeper, for those of us who stayed there, self-reflective, deep psychological work, examining our biases, examining our privileges. Every month we would meet. It began to feel like the most important thing I could be doing, certainly with the college, maybe with my life. So it created a space, the facilitators, where I felt incredibly safe to make mistakes, to fumble, and to explore and discover and take responsibility as a white person for figuring this all out and making serious change. So I invite everybody. It is a space, it's not a group, we're holding a place. So, like you said, Gina, you can come or go as you wish, but I invite everyone who feels like it to show up and learn with us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Donnie Alexander. My pronouns are she, her. I work in kinesiology and athletics. I want to say first and foremost, thank you College of Marin for naming the Diamond Center after me. Made me feel very welcome. So Black and African American and also the Woman of Color Cafe. So T puts on the Woman of Color Cafe, and then the Black Affinity Space is led by Yashika Crawford and Patty France. The reason why I chose those two groups or decided to join was because of the name and being a young professional, and it was my first year at College of Marin last year. Just looking for a space to feel welcomed and to connect with colleagues and also impact the students was high up on the list for me coming into this space with so many people who've been at College of Marin forever, and hopefully one day I'll be here as long as you all. So attending meetings, well, it is important to use the racial affinity groups for anti-racist learning and healing, because sometimes for me personally, being a young professional, it is uncomfortable to address these things in a room full of white people. So when you're with people who look like you, there is more of a space of community and understanding that what I go through here at College of Marin, someone else may have experienced in their first year. So I appreciate holding that space for myself and also for other faculty and staff. And it has allowed me to connect culturally with students and staff. And when I see students on campus, it's just a friendly reminder that, hey, I see you, I know what you're going through, because I was also a community college student, and we didn't have that representation at the community college that I attended. So we always say representation matters, and I was in community college maybe like 6 years ago. So just being a positive role model to the students around us, specifically our athletes also, and our young women who are of color. Lastly, I think that you should consider attending your racial affinity groups, because there are so many amazing people here at COM, and they have great insight and powerful opinions, and we are better when we listen to each other and we learn from each other. So however you can get involved with your racial affinity groups, addressing all of these things and practicing anti-racist just beliefs and discussing that amongst each other, I think is a great thing. So.
And we're going to get the opportunity to show up in the breakout sessions today. It's also in the pamphlets of the locations. And just to wrap us up, in addition to Angela Davis, Dr. Angela Davis's quote up here, I want to share words that I heard from California Community College Deputy Chancellor Dr. Daisy Gonzalez. We can't talk about inclusion without talking about oppression. We can't talk about diversity without talking about privilege. And we can't talk about equity without talking about power. So let's get to it and have some real conversations and continue the good work. Thank you.
Hi, Kara Cricht on behalf of the Professional Learning Committee. Post-convocation breakout sessions are located in those 3 locations. It's also on your program. A couple quick announcements. Make sure to scan in on the QR code to let us know you're here and what activities you're attending today. And also to record a tribute greeting to your favorite memory about Dr. Kuhn. After the breakout session, just a reminder to go to Building 18, Room 102, which is right across the hall to do that. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kuhn to close out. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for your patience, and as we went over time a little bit, thanks very much. Let's give Kara and the Professional Learning Community a big round of applause. So before we wrap it up, I wanted to give you one message, and I'm gonna what do they call, channel Vice President Nelson. He in his presentation was going to really emphasize the work, the construction work that's happening at the Kentfield campus. And there are going to be times where that College Avenue is either down to one lane or closed off, given the size of the equipment that's going to be coming in and out. So we really need to get the word out to each other to plan extra time getting to the Kentfield campus. And please, the first day of classes, really express that to your students, because obviously you want your students to be showing up to your classes on time. But there are going to be times this semester where there's some significant delays. So we all need to just plan ahead and be patient. You got to see what the beautiful, the takeaway in the end is going to be is that beautiful building. So We've had some amazing second hours over the years, and they're always my favorite. Have always been the ones that involve students and student panels. So let's give our student panel another round of applause. Thank you all for what you do. Let's have a tremendous semester. Thank you guys.